What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today. I am a very happy man today. This track, but it might not look much on the surface, however this is my favourite ever track that was released on MX Simulator. I have done a video on it in the past. It was originally created by Jay and it's very one-to-one scaled. The track in MX Simulator was like they had lots of friction turned up as well, so you couldn't go as fast as you normally would, and I kind of love that tight technical sort of riding. In fact, I love it so much, this will be quite funny, is I've got it as my MX Bikes background on Steam. Like, this is the track right here in MX Simulator, but now we've got it in MX Bikes. Thank you very much to Mr. Paramoto. He has fully credited Jay. You know, it's not a case of he's just completely ripped the height map and that's it. He's done a lot of stuff to get it in game, although he has self-admittedly said that it's not 100% finished as he would like it. Just hasn't got the time to get around to those things for the time being. So whilst it might not look as all blitzed and glamoured up as it did in MX Simulator, I am very happy to keep it going myself. And the track itself, the layout is 2017 Anaheim 1. For those keen-eyed people, you may know that. Let me try not to go flying off them. I can't reverse. Please let me out. Please. Okay, I'm going to hard reset. So yeah, I want to see if I can get a little bit of a flow going again, try and learn the layout of the map overall. I'm going to kind of let the secret out, is I have been trying to work on a track the last week or so. It's going to take a lot longer than just a week. But I'm getting a newfound respect for all of these track creators for what they're putting out for us. Like, looking around and looking at the detail on the ground of the textures and like just all of these different layers going through the whoops, for example, going from light to dark and back and forth. It looks so good. Like, it's actually unreal. And I can only hope to have my tracks look like this one day. My current track that I'm making right now is a semi-replica. So it was meant to be a replica originally of a track called Riverside, which is a track based in the southeast of the UK. It closed many years ago. You know, I had to go way back on Google Images to try and find a layout of it anymore. But the layout itself doesn't work that great in bikes. The actual, like, I suppose, floor plan of it, what would you call it? Like, the actual track layout itself in terms of where the corners are is absolutely fine. Like, it rides fine, no problem. However, there's a lot more flat stuff in real life than really works well in game. There's like a section where there's 4 or 5 corners and straights in a row where it's just flat in real life. You know, you just have to pin it from corner to corner. So I've kind of spruced it up a little bit. So I guess it's not a replica track as much as it's a reimagined track. I think that's probably the best way of wording it. So today is day 5 of me working on it, and I finally finished on getting all the jumps where I want them. Took a lot of kind of redoing over and over to finally get a jump face that I was happy with, where the bike actually takes off at a nice angle, you don't get any weird kicks. And then I've done 2 corners worth of ruts so far as well. It's a very long process. I'm using Photoshop as my method for creating the height map. You can use other programs. Like, I tried L3DT, which people like TFC uses. I spent a good 2 hours trying to make one tabletop on that program and just couldn't. So swiftly moved back to Photoshop, where I have at least some knowledge. I mean, stems as far as making my thumbnails. That's about it. But it's very difficult. If you're someone that's never made a track, I am making a video on this whole process. It's not so much a how-to video, it's more of a look how long this took and look at the end result at the end of each day. There's lots of helpful tutorials out there. TFC's done a whole like YouTube playlist of tutorials. Resolute Kraken's done a whole playlist of tutorials. He also has a track builder helper, which kind of gets all the right files in, tells you if there's any errors in the way files are saved or naming, and it's been an absolutely massive help. So massive W to Resolute for making that in the first place. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have made it this far, because I would have given up a long time ago. And then massive thank you to all the people in the Earthworks Discord as well. Anytime I've had a question, people have been very helpful and just giving me tips, and it's just been it's been a fun learning process. Obviously, I'm not amazing by any means. I'm still learning very much each and every day on how to quickly and more efficiently do things within Photoshop. But I'm excited to see you guys the final result. In terms of the actual jumps and how they flow and the speed overall, it works really well on a 450. I don't feel like there's any jumps that you have to try and stretch out or massively slub up for. They all flow one to another, and the speed coming out the corners just feels right. But now it's a case of me trying to get a bunch of ruts in and then add some rough in there as well. But the biggest thing that I'm trying to focus on is I want multiple ruts in each corner to be viable. Unfortunately, because of this game's physics and how wonky it is, you can't really have any ruts that have hooks in them. So they kind of tighten up towards the end or the beginning of the corner. Because as soon as you hit that hook, your bike just goes all wobbly and you fall over top of the berm. So things do have to be quite symmetrical, quite smooth, quite uniform, but I'm trying my best to make them as uneven as possible. So it's not just like 3 perfect 180-degree ruts in every single corner. I am trying to mix it up. And I'm excited to eventually release it to you guys at some point. I think the biggest challenge for me is going to be making it look pretty. Because what you see on screen right now is so much harder than you could ever imagine. It's unreal. So I think that's going to take up the majority of my time, is just getting all the looks. In terms of... So this track is definitely 1-to-1 scale. Also, rest in peace, CBM. Nice to see those banners still going about. This track is 1-to-1 scale. It just feels like it. And oddly enough, it doesn't feel like... That traction in this game doesn't slow you down by any means. I don't think there's any friction values as such, unless you properly go into different tractions, but it feels like soft soil or soil, one of the two. But they still feel quite grippy. But maybe it's just because the berms aren't super banked or arced, but I'm struggling to get some of these triples out of the corners, so it does give me that like J feel of track, which I'm a big fan of. I can triple in there, but then in this section, for example, I can go on, off, and then I can only go over to there. I can't hit the whole quad all the way out, which then means I mess up this Supercross triple. I haven't tried this inside rut yet. Couldn't even see it properly. Then there's a little roller, go double. We step over this table. Not quite. I think it would have been better going on, off, and then double. Little roller to check up on here. And I'm a big fan of these sorts of tracks. Like, I really am. I much prefer going slow and precise on this game than going wide open everywhere. I'm recording this video straight after the European version of Hangtown, like that race. And during that race, I had quite a few front tucks, travelling at quite a fast speed. And what I don't like about when you go that fast is there's no time to correct anything when it goes wrong. You have to go so fast around those tracks to be competitive against other people, and it's usually a speed that's a little bit faster than I'm comfortable with. I'm kind of holding on for dear life. I did go... spoilers, feel free to pause right now and go watch the EU race if you haven't watched it already. But my positions were a what P... What did I get? Oh no, I went P3 in both motos. Hells had another game crash, which... very unlucky for him. Luckily I did not this time. I had a game crash at round 1, but not this round 2. But yeah, I went 3-3 for P2 overall. There was a lot of back and forth in terms of positions. I think it was just a case of getting a lucky start. Luckily, I was able to get on gate 1 both times, so I just snuck up the inside and had a fairly decent start, but just silly mistakes as usual. I'm trying my best to eradicate them, but the pace is being pushed so fast, you just have to try and go faster and faster, which is going to lead to mistakes eventually. And in qualifying, I felt like I had a really reasonable lap, like a good lap for me that I was happy with. There was 2 really silly lines where you could double round a corner and then jump over a wall as well, which I hit, but I was still 4 seconds off of Skills' lap time in qualifying, which I just can't fathom. I don't know where I gained 4 seconds from. But I'm happy with where I am, and the streams have been doing really well and really successful too. So that's all been good. Thank you everyone that stops by each and every week to support your boy. I do appreciate it. This track, it's really difficult actually. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it is. I thought smaller scaling on bikes just means double your way around the track and that's it. But there's some lines on here that I do really want to try and hit, like triples out of corners, stepping over, like stepping onto these tables. And Paramoto has said that he might release an updated version of this one day, but just probably not anytime soon. Which I don't mind. I mean, I don't know what else he would change on it, to be honest, unless it's just a case of adding a stadium and bales and things like that. I have no idea how in-depth to an Anaheim 1 replica he wants it to be. But I'm very happy with this. I like how he's made it look quite hard pack and slick on the inside of some of these corners. Like, you have no idea. This transition here from the right side, the off track to the on track to the hard pack bit in the middle, back to normal dirt to like tractor treads and all sorts. It's so difficult. Like, it's actually disgusting. So again, massive hats off to everyone in this game that makes tracks, and especially those super high quality ones. Because I loved like JV Hurren tracks in the past, but now understanding fully what goes into them, it's unreal. So hats off. Definitely give track making a go if you're unsure, or if you're someone that likes to kind of not make fun, you know what I mean, just like crap on tracks sometimes. Just go and give it a go. Because I know I've certainly been guilty on the past of not giving certain tracks much love, but I certainly will do now. And one thing that I think a lot of tracks really fail to do, like first time releases, is to make them look good as well as ride good. You could have the best height map in the world. You could have a track that flows really, really nicely, but it could look ugly, and nobody's really going to want to play it. So that's one thing that I'm going to focus on a lot. I'm sure I'm going to be asking people a lot of questions, probably trying to get a lot of help too, because at the moment it's really my Photoshop skills that are letting me down for the most part on what I can create. But we'll see how it goes. I want it to look as good as possible, and it's not going to be paid or anything. Don't worry, I don't think I'm anywhere near good enough to be trying to charge money for any tracks I create at the moment. So it's going to be free, and all for you guys to try and play and ride around on. And the biggest thing that I want is I want a fun track for us to do like public lobbies on. I want like 40-man gates. I want it to be packed. I want people to be throwing massive whips trains around each other, and I think it will all be good fun overall. That's probably going to do it for me. It's not the longest video in the world, but it's a very, very short track. And you kind of get the idea of what the track's all about. Massive W, Paramoto, and then massive W to Jay as well for letting us pull it in this game in the first place. And I'm just a very, very happy man. I'm very tempted to go back on Sim and play this again on Sim, if I'm honest. It's such a W. I'll link the Sim version if any of you are Sim players, if you want to go play that as well. And then obviously this track will be linked below at the same time. And that's probably going to do it from me. I'm just going to go and rest a little bit before the NA version of Hangtown starts, because I think my voice is going a bit and my eyes are getting quite tired. But wish me luck, even though the race has already happened by the time that you're seeing this. I'm going to love you and leave you. Please do drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd greatly appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to. I will see you in the next video. Peace.